Hey everyone, welcome to Encounters USA. If it's aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, or dogmen you're looking for, you came to the right place. Now listen up as we listen to some of the latest encounters. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Encounters USA. I'm sitting here with UFO iTeam member and videographer, Mr. Lee Strauss. Now, we are going to have an amazing interview today because if you want disclosure, I don't see how much closer you're going to get for the evidence of unidentified flying objects, unidentified aerial phenomenon, stuff we don't even know is flying around our atmosphere. There's no better evidence than what Mr. Lee Strauss and the UFO iTeam have. So, Mr. Lee Strauss, I guess we'll start off by welcoming you to Encounters USA.
Thank you. You're very gracious.
Well, very gracious happens to be my middle name, but I changed it. All right. Well, Lee, let's talk first of all about you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Don't go into your UFO stuff yet, but just tell us a little bit about you, your background, anything you want to share with the listeners.
Yeah. I was brought up in a Catholic family, baptized Catholic. I didn't really believe in the whole phenomenon, actually, until my family started telling me little bits and pieces of things that they've seen and things that have happened in their life. And then I started to get interested, of course, because everything the government tells us is, they let us know and tell us that these things aren't real. This stuff doesn't happen, and it's swamp gas and weather balloons. So that piqued my interest for sure.
Well, in a Catholic family, aren't you also going to get kind of the same reaction? Because, the Bible says that man is the center of the universe and all of that. So you're saying that your parents were kind of open to the idea of extraterrestrials?
Yeah, I would say that my father and my grandfather, and also from my mother, that is the case. They've had sightings themselves, and just because they're Catholic doesn't mean that things, don't happen to the Catholics. So, of course, you'll find a lot of the time they'll say, well, those are godly things. But my grandfather was a engineer for Boeing, and he understood, and the things that he caught on film, he understood that they were craft from somewhere else. So there was definitely a dynamic there that was pretty interesting.
Well, that's really amazing. Your grandfather was an engineer for Boeing. So if anybody might have an insight into what the military-industrial complex knows or has, your grandfather would probably be a likely start. So we still want to talk about you. Are you also an engineer?
No, I'm not an engineer. I work for a construction company.
Okay.
So I've been in construction, same construction company for many, many years, 26 years now. And so that's my background. Also, I've been an amateur photographer for many years, and have sold quite a few of my shots as well online and in galleries. So
okay.
That's where I started.
Okay, so Lee, before we go too much farther, I just want to encourage people, if they would like to, the UFO iTeam website is ufoiteam.com, and also you guys have some amazing videos on YouTube that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. So I encourage people that are listening or watching this to check out the UFO iTeam on YouTube and check out ufoiteam.com, because they have some videos there that I believe are not featured on the YouTube channel. And I'm telling you, this stuff, it is just mesmerizing, as to what you guys have caught on camera. It is just fascinating. All right, so Lee, what about you? Have you ever had any experiences, or should I say, are you an experiencer, an abductee, anything like that?
Well, yes, I am an abductee. You want to go into that story right now? I'm happy to.
Well, no, you're free to tell whatever you want. We're just trying to get a background on how you got interested in the whole topic of UFOs, and I think being an abductee would probably spark a lot of people's interest. So that does make sense. And if you want to talk about it now or at some other point, or not talk about it at all, this is a free country and a free podcast.
Yeah, right.
So
I'll just get into it then. I inherited a home from my grandmother. My grandfather lived there as well, and he was, an engineer. And it's right across from Maury Island, actually, in Des Moines or Normandy Park. And the first incident that I remember happened there. We have French doors downstairs in the master bedroom downstairs. And one morning we woke up and they were wide open, and that's, we always make sure that things are locked and closed up. So that was pretty odd. And then a couple nights later, it just so happens that I woke up and I wasn't in my bed. I was actually laying face down on a table. Looking through my eyes, I could see the floor below me was like a blackish gray color, and there was a light emanating from the ceiling down around my body. But the strange thing is that I could see my body, but I could also see through my eyes, which was pretty weird. It's a weird dream. I just nothing out of normal, just odd situation. And all of a sudden I saw this apparatus from the ceiling come down over my body. I was witnessing this through some other eyes as well. And of course I started to panic and started to fight, and I couldn't move whatsoever from whatever I was laying on, this table that I was laying on. This apparatus had a bunch of little tubes sticking out from it, different sections of pipe type looking thing, but it was in one big cluster. And at this bottom tube, the lowest tube, this needle came out, and then it dropped down closer to my neck. And of course I'm trying to fight, trying to get move, trying to scream, trying to yell, and all I'm getting is just garbly gook out of my mouth, and drool and everything coming out of my mouth. And I'm freaking out, scared, heart beating, pounding. And all of a sudden this needle goes into the back of my neck, at the base of my skull, into the back of the neck. And boy, I'm reliving it here right now.
I am also reliving it. How old were you when this happened?
I was in my early 30s. I would say I was 34.
Okay, because thank goodness you weren't like a kid. This is just horrifying. Yeah. Okay, please continue.
So I'm watching this happen to my body. I'm also feeling it. As soon as the needle punctures my skin, it was the most excruciating pain I've ever felt in my entire life. And I can't scream very much. It's just gargling noise through my mouth. And then all of a sudden it was like the hand of God reached down and grabbed a hold of me and just held me. And it was the most loving feeling I have ever felt in my entire life. There's just no way that you would be able to feel this in your human body. You would have to be detached from it. It's like what you might feel if you died, I would guess. It was just incredible, all encompassing. And after that, I woke up in my bed with horrible pain in my neck, reached back around my neck there, and I had blood and like mucus on the back of my neck. So it was real. it wasn't a dream at all. In fact, it scared me so bad I had to wake up my wife next to me and had her look at it, and she goes, "That's looks like the nastiest spider bite ever."
Wow, that is too much. I'm having a little technical difficulties. We were talking about this before, but my pop filter is giving me a little problem, so I think I'm going to have to do something with this. So let's talk about this, because really what we're talking about is I want to know about your perception. Mm-hmm. So you're in bed, but then suddenly you're someplace else and you're laying on a table, but you're watching your own body.
That is correct. I'm watching my body, but I can also see through my eyes of my body. So it's like viewing from two different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember seeing colors?
Not so much colors, just the cone of light that was coming down around my body.
Okay. And any sense of movement in the room, or?
There felt like there was somebody off to my left-hand side. I remember feeling that, but I could not turn my head away to look, or I was just engrossed on what was going on right in front of me.
Okay. So this is, as far as abduction experiences go, there's no grays, there's no mantis people, there's no reptilians, there's nobody at all, and whoever's involved in this apparently didn't want you to see them.
Yeah, I would say that. The other thing that I would say is that when I woke up the next morning, that loving feeling was still there, but was dissipating. But the pain in the neck, all day long, I had that pain. Okay. The morning after that, it was gone. But that whole day, my neck was really sore.
Okay. Because, now we know with science and the things that we're able to do and understand, we know that these states can be created chemically in your brain, that we can almost do that kind of stuff. And so an advanced, civilization with that kind of technology to even abduct you the way that they did, would obviously understand the neural pathways and how to create an illusion. But the fact that you are actually looking at your body, not that many abductees talk about that. And I haven't heard anybody talk about this feeling that you had that really almost sounds like, I've never used like morphine or anything like that, but sometimes a religious experience is similar to that. So maybe you just had a super duper religious experience, or maybe one was induced to help you to cope with the suffering.
Yeah, maybe. Being that I'm Catholic, maybe that's what they went to help calm me down.
Okay, and was there any communication with anything there, or?
Not at that time, no. We had here. Let me make sure my phone is off here real quick before we continue, because I surely don't want all that going on. All right. So I believe that maybe now, thinking about it after you said it, they probably did induce that, sort of experience for me because I'm Catholic. But also, I guess that would be a better way for me to cope with it if it was more of a religious experience. But the problem is that I relived that incident for 2 years, and I was trying to find help through other abductee groups and so forth, and never could find one in Seattle at the time when I was looking. And eventually I did, because I couldn't function at work. I couldn't function at home. I kept reliving this incident that happened to me. I did not want to go to bed. I did not want to go to sleep. So it was pretty hard to deal with. That's for sure.
Was this just a one-time deal? Any repetition or like flashbacks? Maybe feeling like, oh, they might be coming back?
Yeah, at the time there was. I did have flashbacks like they might come back, feeling like they are around, that sort of thing. Like I said, it was really hard to sleep. And then I did find a group to hang out with and collaborate. I guess not collaborate with, but toss back and forth my abduction experience with other abductees through a meetup group. And that really did help, but it also scared the crud out of me because of the fact that I was hoping they would tell me, other abductees would tell me, no, that's not how abductions happen. That's not a common thing. Something else happened to you. But that's not what they told me. They told me that this type of thing is more common than I believed. So that was pretty eye-opening and shocking.
Did anybody have a similar experience and similar, like, that they didn't see who was abducting them?
Yeah, that has happened quite often, that they don't see who they are at first until they get regressed or something like that, which I did. I started getting sessions with Dr. Janet Coley, and she helped me out tremendously. She uses a technique called EMDR, and it helps desensitize you. They also use it for victims of PTSD, or people that have PTSD will have EMDR done with them so that they can cope with what has happened, the traumatic situations and so forth.
So she put you, like, I guess, under hypnosis?
It's not under EMDR is not hypnosis. It's what it does is it takes the left and the right brains and makes them work together to figure out the situation and to desensitize you to the traumatic situation that you've been in. And she also used it to take me back, back in time, basically, to the situation that did happen, and basically walk through it part by part, piece by piece, so that I could actually deal with it.
All right. Did she accept the fact that you'd been abducted?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. All the emotions were there. Everything was there when it happened. So I basically relived it. Okay.
So I don't want to just spend the whole interview talking about this, but
yes.
It's really interesting. It's really traumatic, but there's so many elements to this. The first one, that you live near Maury Island,
mm-hmm.
and when they had the Maury Island incident, which I have 2 videos on podcasts that I did about the Maury Island incident. Those were like donut-shaped objects, not really ones that we're familiar with. So right. Maybe there's somebody operating, or I say somebody, but maybe there's a civilization or something operating in that area that are different than grays or reptilians. And obviously, the spaceships that were in the Maury Island incident were different.
Yeah.
And these guys don't seem to want to be identified. So, who knows? But it really, just listening to you talk, just opens up so many more questions. Do you know if there's any more people in that area that have been abducted?
I know that there's other people in that area that do see craft often. For some reason, it seems like they use the Puget Sound, the waterways of Puget Sound, to stay hidden from people for the most part.
Well, it's going to be easier now that Seattle's dumping its raw sewage into it.
That's right.
And
millions
probably
and millions of gallons of raw sewage.
Horrible.
Yep.
Anyway, all right. So let's go back. So you had an experience, and you were with a group. How did you end up with the UFO iTeam?
Well, Michael Hall was also in that group. So that's how that started. And then we got an invitation from a gentleman named Tom Sanger to go up to Mount Baker and the Pleiades Mountains to do an investigation or sky watch to look for anomalous craft in the sky. And we were like, me and Michael and another gentleman actually was able to find out about it, named Andrew Uresti. And we decided, hey, let's do this. It'd be a blast. Instead of just waiting for something to happen, sitting home, let's go out and see what we can find. And that's how that started.
And did you find something?
Strange lights in the sky here and there. I mean, when we went up that first time, it was really kind of cloudy. We did see a couple things that were odd, but nothing spectacular. The cool thing was that we met this gentleman, Tom Sanger, and he gave our group our first night vision camera, color night vision camera, and we were stoked about that. And that just, of course, that started propelling me to buy more equipment and really get interested in actually trying to film these things in the sky.
Okay, so yeah, Tom is a very interesting individual. Did you meet him through this encounter group also?
Well, no, he wasn't involved in the encounter group. He did send an email to the encounter group, and that's kind of how we hooked up with him. He lives in Arizona, but he does come up once a year to try to film these things up here. All
right. So, Lee, as a construction guy, I don't know if you're sitting here watching this construction project going on, but right before we started, my pop filter went limp on me, and I'm trying to fix this and talk to you at the same time. And, I'm pretty good with my hands, but this is not really cooperating. I think I've got it now. Nope. Mars. This is terrible. All right. So let's talk about you get into the UFO iTeam. And I mean, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of groups out there. What are you guys like? You're not like an abductee group where people are getting together, sharing experiences, right?
No, we don't do that. Our whole premise is a lot of us have seen things in the sky, and want to record these things and show them to the larger public. It's like people have been keeping this under wraps for so long and have made a joke out of it, sending out little green aliens or people dressed up as little green aliens and making a mockery of these sorts of things. And I want to dispel all of that stigma that has come along with it. And the only way to really do that is show the evidence. Let's get the evidence out there. Let's prove to people that things are flying around the sky that are anomalous. I mean, that's the first step. And I don't know how we would prove that abductions are really happening, but that would be something that I'm also interested in doing. Gathering that data and trying to get the nuts and bolts of it and get it out to a larger audience.
Okay, so is it just UFOs you're looking for, or are you looking for anything else?
We also are looking to talk with abductees, also gather any evidence that we can. Even if we're set up a trail cam, I built a trail cam and put a Faraday fabric around a trail cam so we could actually use that in a situation where somebody's getting repeatedly abducted, to hopefully film some evidence, hoping that they wouldn't be able to turn it off somehow or electromagnetically affect the camera because it's got this fabric around it. So we're trying all different angles here.
All right. So you've had some experience with having your equipment, I guess I'll say messed with. But before we get into all of that, you started off with up at the, I keep wanting to say the Pleiades Mountains, the Pleiades Mountains with Tom Sanger, and you didn't see anything. But over time, things started showing up. Did you find you had a certain location that you had better luck?
Well, at first it was just Mount Baker and the Pleiades Mountains, and we caught stuff on film by, doing this. We've been doing it now for 7 years, but in the beginning it took probably 2 years. Second year, things started happening more and more as we go. I mean, it seems like it's been ramping up over the amount of years that we've been doing this. Also noticed that I was starting to be able to tell when they were going to show up. I get a funny feeling in my stomach. I get real anxious. My hands start shaking. I start sweating. And then we have since then we have called it a hit, or that I'm getting the heebie-jeebies. Mm-hmm. And that's basically when I know when I should be turning my cameras on, because that's when stuff happens in the sky. So that's been, that's been something that I've gained over the course of doing this work.
Okay. And I'm just going to jump in here and make a brief confession. I've actually interviewed Lee and Ander, and on another video, I showed some of the work that you guys did, and that's a couple of videos before this one, and I ran into you guys at the ESETI Ranch down by Mount Adams. I must tell you that I was shocked by the amount of equipment that you are putting out literally into the field. Can you just, if you want to go and look at their videos, you'll see the amount of equipment that they have. Can you just give us like a round ballpark figure of how much that would all cost?
Oh, heck. I don't even know that I could give you it's been the equipment has been gathered over, like I said, about 7 years. So it would be really tough to quantify that and to give you a figure.
Right. But you have some amazing cameras that you're using. You have amazing optics. I think you guys also have a lot of video stuff. But you can really, when you look at your videos, you are 14 miles away from Mount Adams at ESETI Ranch, but it looks like you're right there. So,
yeah. So you're talking about the Nikon P1000, which we have. So we can actually see the climbing route on Mount Adams from ESETI. Mm-hmm. You can see the tracks in the snow from where people are walking. We have. It's not just me that has this equipment. Also, Dave has a lot of equipment. With FLIR video, he's being able to record these things in the sky with FLIR. And we've got all kinds of night vision. He's got all kinds of night vision and telescopes and different things that he's got. He brings to the table some amazing equipment. I bring to the table most of the night vision recorders and some pretty good cameras for taking some time lapse of the sky as well. So together, I would say we have the most equipment of any UFO researchers out in the field today.
Yeah, it is unbelievable the amount of equipment you guys had. If you guys, just me looking at the equipment you guys had, I thought you were a television studio or something. I could not believe that all of that was for just one group of people. But yeah, you guys really have an amazing setup. So the next question I have, your videos are just amazing. You have so many unidentified objects on them. Have you had any interest from the news media or any other media to get some of your stuff out there?
The Everett Herald has put some stuff out from the UFO iTeam. We've had some other larger ufologists interested in what we have put out. Right now I'm in communications with Linda Moulton Howe, trying to get some of my stuff organized with her. So it's pretty common, or not, I wouldn't say common, but it's getting there. We're getting our name recognition. So that's what we want. We want to be in the larger eye just to show the public that these things are real. And that's something that needs to be done for sure.
Right. So let's go back and I encourage you, if you are listening to this or watching on YouTube, go to the UFO iTeam on YouTube and look at these videos, and then go back and look at Lee's last statement that, oh yes, the Everett Herald, the Everett Herald and Linda Moulton Howe is kind of interested. I mean, if you want evidence of something is flying through our skies and we don't know what it is, these guys are filming it almost every time they go out. And what do you think the challenge is? I mean, you are disclosure. What is going on? What's the problem? Why are people, do you think, are not picking this up?
I don't know why. We've been doing this for 7 years, although our videos really didn't start coming out till about 2 years ago when we created the UFO iTeam. Two years ago, we created the UFO iTeam, and we haven't had anything spectacular till basically we started then. We had a couple things, but lately it's been really ramping up. And we've been sharing things online and are on our page, but as of yet, we haven't got a whole lot of interest in the UFO iTeam. Even though we got Peter Davenport who we show a lot of our videos to, and is also a friend of Michael Hall's, and Dr. Dick Haynes. We use him now. I send him my videos and he tells me what he thinks. So we do have some higher end people working with us.
All right, so let's go back and let's talk about the iTeam. I mean, I don't know what your disclosure level is and if you want to identify people, but can you talk about, you guys are not, you're pretty high tech. You are not your run of the mill team, and you have some incredible technical and professional minds that are on your team. Can you talk about a couple of people? I guess you don't have to say their names, but what they do.
Yeah, Andrew Uresti. He's like my cohort. We do a lot of things together without the rest of the group because we're able to get places where a lot of the other team members are not, up on the top of mountains and some really inaccessible places. He is a Basque gentleman, and I'll tell you what, he has got the best eyesight, catches these things way before I'll ever see him. So he's a pack mule, and I'll tell you what, he's just really good at spotting things in the sky other people just will not see. So he's a good buddy of mine. And let's go over to Dave. Dave's got quite a bit of technical gear. He just joined the UFO iTeam probably about 6 months ago. He saw some of the stuff I was putting out and said, hey, listen, I've got gear. I've got the capability. I've got the know-how. Let's hook up. I really like what you're doing. And so Dave came on board, and the iTeam and a lot of other people are just blown away by his technical savvy, the gear that he has and what he has to bring to the table. So he is really upping the game as far as what we're capable of doing. And Michael Hall, of course, Michael Hall, you've interviewed him a couple times. He's our heavy hitter. He gets people organized, and keeps us out of legal trouble and those sorts of things. So, he's the creator of the UFO iTeam, and he's definitely the founder, and he's definitely a great guy.
Yes, and I think he would be upset if I didn't mention that he's on his Don't Storm Area 51 project. And I think we're almost a month out now. And so he's really ramping up. And so Michael Hall, I just want to mention that for you so that people know what you're doing as far as the Area 51 project is going. So, yeah, you guys have your legal expertise, you have your technical expertise, and you are, a bunch of, I mean, there's a few women on the team, but but when it comes to action and getting out there, I mean, you guys are like a military unit almost. I mean, I've seen you out in the field. You work with great precision. So it's really interesting to watch you guys work, and you do a lot of work, and that's something that really impressed me. But I think it also separates you from 95% of the UFO researchers out there, is that you guys are actually with the bugs and mosquitoes all night out there looking at the mountains, and I almost froze when I was with you guys the last time. So you guys are really, you not only talk the talk, but you also walk the walk, and as I say, you're the real deal.
Well, yeah, we are definitely trying to up our game too, as far as other researchers are concerned. We show them our videos, and they come back with feedback. And I've learned a lot from Dick Haynes over the past week, actually, just on how to produce the videos that we come up with, and show different aspects of what we're doing, and making sure that it's done scientifically. And so actually we are starting a new venture into that regard, so that we can up our game, because it's needed. We haven't in the past, we haven't been talking about our location, the longitude and the latitude and the elevation we're at, and things like what directions our cameras are pointing. There's a lot of aspects to this that we're still learning, and we're trying to improve on. Our biggest mistake, and I think that, something that I've been doing in the past, and it's got to change, is the fact that I just go out somewhere and point my cameras in the night sky, and I really don't tell anybody about, the location that we're at, and what stars are also in the field of vision, so they can get references to the brightness of objects that are coming into the field of view. So these are all things that we are working on and trying to improve on, so that we can have a better product, a more scientific product.
Yeah, Lee, listening to you talk, you're doing the editing, I assume.
Yep.
Yeah. As a film editor, I think you have a very tough job, because what you're really trying to do is you want to have a product that is mass marketable, that a lot of people are interested in watching, but also one that the scientific community is interested in watching. And so whereas the market wants to see UFOs and strange lights and, wow, what was that? The scientific community wants to see data.
Right.
And so basically it sounds like you're almost being tasked with putting out two different types of video.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I mean, I'll put a video up, and then I'll have people critique it right away. And so I'm always trying to figure out how to please everybody, which is almost an impossibility.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, that's the first thing is, of course, when you get on social media where anybody can say anything they want, I mean, that's the worst, because you always see on these paranormal sites, as soon as somebody puts up something they think was a Bigfoot or a UFO, immediately it's just torn apart by people that just don't do anything but, like to cut other people down. And so you're subject to that. Do you really let that affect you?
I think I let it affect me. I think I let it try to guide my actions in the future. Like I said, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to show proof, and I want to show the public what's going on out there in our skies. Yeah. So in that way, I guess I'm beholden to the public. And obviously that's the wrong way to go, but it's just how I'm working it right now. I don't know any other way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's just if you had footage of a UFO coming down and landing and people coming out, of course they're going to say, "Oh, that's CGI." So,
Right.
anyway, that's a really that is just a job that anybody that posts on YouTube or whatever always has to live with. But for the UFO or the Bigfoot community, that's almost a no-win situation if you're going to try to please the general public. What are your plans? Are you going to because for me, I think that what you guys should do is do reality.
Yeah.
And I think you should do reality because that will, if you tell a story, people are not going to, because if you're just showing lights in the sky, anybody can tear that apart. But if you're showing the process and helping people to get involved, I think for the mass market, that's more interesting. And then you can, maybe also do the scientific side of it, because then it's also interesting that people understand, oh, we're scientists, we're collecting data. So maybe reality would be the way to go.
Yeah. I think there almost has to be two videos made, one where it's meant for the public, and then the other one is meant for the more scientific ufologist who wants to break down the video and get as much information from it as possible.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately, because you obviously have so much invested in this, time, equipment, etc., and life, you would want to, of course, cater to where you're going to get some kind of a return. And what is your return out of this? What are you looking for?
I don't want fame. I don't want money. What I want is, for a long time, like I said, I've been put down because I believe in these things. I just want people to see it. I want people to know what we're catching on film is real. That's where my interests lie. I don't want to be called a fool or a clown anymore. So that's it right there. It's it in a nutshell.
Well, that's a very interesting statement. It sounds like you've met some negativity in this pursuit.
And if I'm getting it, if I'm getting that negativity, you think about all the thousands of people out there, millions that are getting abducted, people that are seeing craft, and they tell people that they think that they can trust, and that word gets out, and now they're a lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sort of stuff just really irks me. It bothers me tremendously, and I don't think that should be happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just a failure of government. And you're talking about guys being paraded out in alien suits. I assume you're talking about the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah, you got it.
That reaction to that. And I mean, really, when the government is making fun of something that could be they could just come here at any time and just start wiping people out, and the government makes jokes about that. I really think that is a huge failure of government, and it's a way of saying that the people are so stupid. And as long as we misdirect the questions, not who are these people or why are these people, but to make it just a joke, and anybody who talks about it a joke, that's how they rule. And in the end, I think it's going to probably backfire on them, and it's probably going to be people like you, and I'm sure that you guys are monitored closely by intelligence agencies, because you're doing the work that they're also probably doing.
They're going, I'm sure, way above and beyond what we do. But
well, they don't have any programs to. They have their NORAD system and all that, but a lot of this stuff doesn't show up on radar. And so they don't have any special teams out there in the field watching mountains that have a history of UFO activity. But you guys are doing that. So I'm sure they have a very high interest in what you're doing. And probably they're sitting around listening to this podcast right now.
Well, you bring up a good point. One of our successes, our abilities as a group, is when we go out, we catch things. 90% of the time when we go out, we catch stuff in the sky that we can't explain. Objects changing colors, changing direction, doing all sorts of things. And it's funny is that you might not notice it at the time until you get back and start reviewing the footage. A lot of the time, like I say, I'll get hits or get the heebie-jeebies when they're coming around. But I think it's just an effect of the team. We've got so many people on the team that are abductees. I think we just draw them in some way, and they show up for us. It's amazing how often they show up for the group.
Well, that was one thing that I was going to talk to you about the team, is that along with your technical expertise, you've brought together, as you said, a lot of abductees. And from your own statement, you didn't have anything really going on. I mean, you went out with Tom Sanger the first time. Nothing really happened. But as you guys started to collect more of these people, you started to get more results. So it could very well be that you have been, and I don't get into this kind of stuff, but you're obviously a group that's getting results. You're a special group that's getting results that you weren't getting before. So you can say there's something to that.
Yeah. A lot of people have commented, how are you guys getting this footage when Joe can go out and look at the night sky for hours on end and not see anything. And I'll take a brand new camera that I got, take it out just to film the sky, just to see how the sky looks in this new camera, and catch 2 objects in the sky above my house. I mean, it's just like they know that we are there trying to film them or whatever, and they just show up.
Yeah, and maybe, after your abduction experience, maybe they're going, oh my gosh, this guy's after us. But it is very interesting, and you guys are getting some amazing results. I was with you at the East City Ranch, and I saw, I haven't seen very much of the footage from that and from Takalaka Lake, but from what I saw with my naked eye at East City Ranch, I saw 5 things that I could not, and I've never seen, I don't ever claim to have seen a UFO before, but I saw things at East City Ranch that I'd never seen, big lights flying through the sky. And then you guys also have software that identifies it's,
yes.
You can identify the space station. That's interesting.
So we use an app called Sky Guide. As long as you've got Wi-Fi, you can pretty much get an accurate account of what's flying around in the sky, as far as rocket boosters and different satellites. Of course, it's not showing everything. Not any app out there will show all of the objects floating around in the sky. It's the only people that have that are, like you say, NORAD or somebody, some governmental agency. But for the most part, if we catch an object in the sky that does something that can't be explained, that makes a 90-degree turn, or that stops in mid-flight, or zooms away at incredible speeds, or those sorts of things, changing colors, those are things that we're looking for, something that is abnormal from the normal things floating around.
Okay, but that's that really makes me wonder about, because these things have consciousness. They're flying around. They obviously know what's going around on below them, but I just wonder, and it's probably a likely conclusion, that they would be aware there's a lot of equipment down there, and it's looking at us.
Yes.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with it, because these guys, I assume, flying around on these craft are doing it because they're collecting data. And then they go, well, here's some guys collecting data, and they're not guys out with binoculars and, having meditation sessions, whatever. You guys are hardcore technicians collecting data on these people, and I wonder if they're impressed by that.
Yeah, we don't do any CE5 type stuff. We just go out there to areas that we think are significant. Volcanoes seem to be the hot spot for them, but there's other places in Washington State too. We just go out there and collect the data. But like I said, most of us are abductees, and I think for some reason that really brings them in. As far as the stuff that they do to the equipment to mess with us, yeah, they do. They drain our batteries, lickety split. You were with us at Takalak Lake, and I went through 3 batteries, I think in a span of about 15 minutes. They kept draining one of the camera's batteries and left the other cameras alone. A couple of times they have actually gone off after the main power pack on Dave's equipment and drained his car batteries out. So he's, it's almost like they're messing around with our equipment just to show that they're there doing it. The other one was the cell phone. They started going through different apps on the cell phone, dialing up different phone numbers, getting into Amazon account. I mean, just crazy stuff. And we're out in the middle of nowhere. In that location, we had no cell service whatsoever. So, just the myriad of different technical issues that we run into while we're trying to research these things is crazy.
Yeah, and I actually documented the battery draining at Takalaka Lake, and that's on a video where the previous video where I interviewed you and Anders.
Yes.
Yeah, Ander. So I was there for that, and it was really freaky. And I also got it on my video, so I can vouch for what you're saying. And it just seems like, if these, it's like a joke, we drained your batteries and now you can't film it, just to kind of make you, like you say, make you know they're there, but kind of make you laugh, like a practical joke kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, it's really interesting that you guys are having these interactions. And as you say, I think you said, you think it's appearing to be increasing?
Yeah, it seems like all this activity is ramping up. Like every time we go out, it seems like they give us a little bit more. At one point I had said, I have not seen a UFO do a 90-degree turn yet. I haven't seen it. And so then I go out the next time and there's one that does a 90-degree turn. I mean, it's just, it's like they almost know what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. The big one, of course, the Holy Grail is a close-up shot of a video or a UFO, so that's what we're looking to get next. I mean, that's the stuff that's really going to turn people's attention to the subject and get people to think, hey, maybe there is something going on that we don't know about. I mean, like the Tic Tac video and some of that other stuff that's mainstream that's out there is interesting, but it really doesn't show the craft, mm-hmm. So we want to see nuts and bolts and seams, but that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. And so it's really interesting to know what's going to happen to you guys in the future. So let's talk a little bit about that. So I know that from your last e-study and Takalaka Lake, I have a hard time saying that with a straight face.
Everybody does.
Just because I was stationed in North Carolina and they called it North Kakalaka. So I want to say Kakalaka Lake. Anyway, Oh, now I went into that whole thing and I forgot what I was going to say. The question I'm going to ask you is, we talked about what you think the future holds, but what do you guys have planned for the future? You say you're talking about increasing your operation. How are you going to do that?
Well, I think the frequency that we go out and do these things, we don't do anything during the winter. But I'd also like to do some more stuff in the winter time. It's a matter of finding locations where you can set up in the winter and not have to drive through a bunch of snow to get there. Right. Viewing locations. Also, I'd like to branch out a little bit. I mean, we've got this equipment. Why can't we use that to do Bigfoot investigations? Mm-hmm. Why can't we use that to do ghost investigations or something like that? Because there's more stuff out there that needs to be explained, and we're doing a decent job of explaining or showing that there is activity in the sky that's anomalous. So let's do some other stuff too on the side if we can. If we got the time, why not? I don't think that we could ever catch anything like a Bigfoot coming out of a UFO. I think that's hilarious and laughable. But, we'd definitely like to see some other stuff. We have caught in the past. We've done one side venture where we went to Foss River Road up by Skycomish and did find some big footprints in the snow. And that was pretty cool. We did a little video about that. But I'd definitely like to catch more of that sort of stuff as well.
Okay. So it would seem like the challenge for you would be time and, of course, financial resources.
Yes, for the research part of it, financial resource, just for getting more equipment. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big part of it. We don't have some things that would be nice to have, like more trail cameras. I guess we just have the one, but more trail cameras would be good. Yeah. There's some equipment out there that'd be nice to get a hold of for viewing and for audio, but we're pretty well stacked.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if I'm at Discovery Channel or Animal Planet or one of those travel channel, I want you. I would be giving you money. I'd say quit your job, take your gadgets out, and go find me something. So I hope if there's somebody out there, would you do that if somebody were to offer you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do it full time?
Oh yeah, I'd do it full time. I mean, right. I mean, we're getting so much stuff in the sky as it is. It would be almost mundane, I think, after a while. I don't know that you could build a show around that. Oh, guess what? UFO iTeam caught another craft in the sky. Woo woo. I mean, that happens a lot.
Well, already. But that goes into back to this research part, is that when you guys are encountering things, I know you're doing the editing, so you don't have time to do this, but you are encountering specific types of vehicles, right? Like when I was with you, and I still want to see, we saw the best one I saw was right before light up on Takalaka Lake, that it looked like a necklace that came from the top of the mountain and just settled down behind the mountain. And I don't know if you've edited that part yet, but it's like those kinds of things are just incredible, and that's definitely, those are not man-made as far as we know. So, you know what? I absolutely lost my train of thought. So just bail me out.
Yeah, I mean, we are catching some pretty incredible stuff. It's not just things that look like satellites in the sky. There's all kinds of the three objects that dropped down behind Mount Adams in a synchronous triangle, that dropped down. And that was 2 years ago that we caught that. those things are interesting, but you couldn't build a show around seeing things in the sky that look like satellites. That's for sure. You're going to have to build things around drama and actually things that look like craft and so forth.
Okay,
yeah,
and
like you say, need a story. It needs a story.
Yeah, but
right?
Going back to what I forgot I was going to say is anybody documenting the types of vehicles that you're seeing?
No, we actually haven't put together a catalog of the things that we've seen.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to do so, but to take all the videos that we have and actually build some sort of a catalog of the different types of craft, or not so much different types of craft, but what the craft are doing, I think would be more interesting. Because the seeing the actual object in the sky, while it's a mile away or something like that, you really can't tell what type of craft it is. It's more about what actions it's taking.
Yeah, and when you're talking about lights at night, aircraft have to have a certain lighting setup, and and these things that we saw, they were not on your thing for space junk or whatever, and these things were flying incredibly fast in a lot of cases. But okay, so just as a guy who goes out camping a lot and sees stuff in the sky, I always see things very high up. And talking to Tom Sanger, he's saying, "Oh, those are satellites," and you guys are saying, "Oh, those are satellites." But I mean, they're lit up and they're very high up, and they're not moving very fast. So, but those are always there. But the things that, and I have no idea if you guys say they're satellites. Okay, there's the explanation. But you guys are getting these things that go very fast, these balls of light. I saw the necklace kind of thing go down behind Mount Adams. That same night we saw red lights just going hauling butt, not flashing, green and red lights, but just red lights really flying fairly quickly. And then all the stuff we saw at East City Ranch. So it would seem to me that somebody should be, keeping a journal, because there might be, these guys might be making regular flights. There might be certain types of craft that have certain capabilities, whatever. And if nobody's taking down the data, then if it's just visual, that's really not much, because the time, the luminosity of the craft, the elevation of the craft, I mean, is it way out there or is it closer to Earth? Those things might actually be repeating, but until somebody does that, takes in that data, people don't know. And as far as you're doing, your hands are too full from editing to really try to keep a catalog of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a day job just like everybody else. I actually wanted to pawn off a lot of the editing off on other people, but the issue that we run into is the fact that I know what the cameras are capable of doing. I know what I see through those camera lenses, what they could be, right? I mean, I know better than anybody else that would look at that piece of footage, what it could be, because I see it a lot through these different cameras that we use. Mm-hmm. So it would be hard for somebody just coming into it to not call out a satellite as a UFO. Let's say. Yeah.
All right. Well, Lee, it's been about our hour. I think we've gone a little bit longer. And before I let you go, you guys are you looking to increase the number of members in the UFO iTeam?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few members I didn't get yet to mention. Mary Kennedy, who has been taught by Dolores Cannon how to regress people. So we have her on board. She's a wonderful resource and person on the team. We got Sue, who's our cheerleader. She's on the team. She does a great job of cheerleading for us. and thinking of anybody else right off the top of my head. That's about it. That are constant members right now, and that go out to each night watch that we have. But we do have a few more individuals that are more like satellite people that come around when they can.
Sunshine Patriots like me.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I was so impressed with the UFO iTeam. I asked if I could join, and they accepted me. And then I had that Groucho Marx moment where I said, do I want to join a club that would have me? But in the end, I did. And I was lucky enough to even run into you guys and to talk to His Honor, Michael Hall. And I just was fascinated by the things you guys are doing. So how, if I want to join your iTeam, what do I do? Who do I contact?
Well, there's a ritual you're going to have to go through.
Uh-oh.
I'm just joking.
Not like the Freemasons, I hope.
Yeah. No. Well, Michael Hall's the guy that you'd have to get a hold of, but you have to bring some talent, something to the team. And I think your capability with video is really going to help. Not only that is to put our night watches and the things that we do into a story form, so it would be easier to view by the public.
Yeah. So we need, you need video. You need people to do video production that can handle editing.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm not the best at it. Let me tell you, I muddle through, but that's not where my talents lie. At the moment.
Yeah. And then, another thing is, like I said, you guys are out in the field. I mean, you're out camping, you're out in the dark in the woods with the wolves and the bears and maybe even the Bigfoot. Yep. And the Bigfoot. So, if you want adventure, definitely it's the UFO iTeam. So yeah, that's great. And Lee, it's just been a great honor talking to you, and your experience is amazing. Your abduction experience and your Maury Island connection and all the stuff that you guys do is what a lot of people wish that they could do, but you've actually gone out and done it. So I guess that for what I do, Encounters USA, I just say thank you for all the stuff that you've done.
Well, thank you for recognizing it. I like I said, the only reason I do this is because of people like myself that have been put through hell because of their experiences, and that's just not fair. We need to, red pill, like Michael likes to say, red pill the public on what's actually happening out there. And the only way to do that with any sensible way is to show them the nuts and bolts and to get the videos out there. That's the hard evidence that I can bring.
Okay. Well, my question is maybe not for you, but for Michael, and then what? But I think that's another podcast. Well,
we've got a lot of equipment. I mean, we're not just able to film things in the sky with the equipment we have. We have the equipment to be able to tell if they've landed. We've got tri-field meters. We've got Geiger counters. We've got all kinds of equipment, to use if there's actually been a landing. So,
wow. All right. Yeah. Well, Lee, what are you have right now? I know you're putting out video from Takalaka Lake and the East City Ranch. What are you going out on any more expeditions? I guess I call them expeditions before the summer turns into rain.
Yep, we're planning on doing another trip to Baker Lake. To see what we can get there. I'd like to turn that one into a full production for us and get some, us planning the trip, us doing the night watch, us investigating the area and all of that. Like to get that on film and put that out there for people to see.
I can see it now. And instead of hunting Bigfoot, hunting UFOs with Lee Strauss.
Yep.
And if you're watching on YouTube, I want you to notice the similarity that was pointed out, that you look like Lee Strauss, Survivor Man's brother. And
yes,
I'm
Les Stroud.
Les Stroud. Yeah. I never actually watched the show, but I've heard of him. So,
right.
But and I'm spreading the rumor around that you actually do his stunts. So
sure.
So you're going to have people asking you about that. All right. Well, now I'm confused. All right. So Lee Strauss, not Les Stroud. Thanks for being on Encounters USA, and I think we're going to wrap up the interview here. If you're interested in the UFO iTeam, I can't say this enough. Go to their YouTube channel. Like as soon as this podcast is over, go to their YouTube channel and look at the stuff these guys are capturing. And you're going to be putting out some more stuff over the next few days and weeks, right?
Yep. Actually, we just was reviewing some of my time-lapse photography this morning and found another craft in the sky that's doing a curlicue zigzag type thing in one of the shots. So that's pretty amazing.
All right. Well, yeah. So if you guys, want to catch all these videos as they come out, of course, you're going to want to subscribe to the UFO iTeam on YouTube. And, of course, while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to Encounters USA on YouTube and on whatever podcast network you listen to. All right, then. Well, it has been a real honor. It's been so enlightening. I don't usually learn things on podcasts, but I've learned a lot of stuff from you, Lee. So thanks for being on.
No problem. I thank you.
All right. Now, everybody out there, the summer's almost over, but it's not too late for you to have some kind of encounter. So when you're out there in the woods, especially if you're with the UFO iTeam, always watch your back. Thanks for listening to tonight's show. Please remember, if you've had an encounter, we want to hear about it. Go ahead and email us at encountersusa1@gmail.com or contact us at encountersusa.com, our website, and go to the contact form. All right, everybody. Until next time, be careful out there. And if you're out in the woods, watch your back.